Business Principles on the Smart Chiropractor show. Today, we are going to be answering, or at least discussing, the question, did your dream practice get hijacked by your business? This is an important concept that I think not enough chiropractors have thought of, even though they're living it day in and day out. Jason?
You know, Jeff, we've been really talking a lot about what's going on in the profession, where are chiropractors, what has happened. And I say that from the perspective of the two of us being around the profession for decades, both being in it, but also having kind of a first row seat watching it, not being in active practice, but working with chiropractors for decades now. We see it from a different perspective. And what we're seeing is that a lot of chiropractors have really shifted over into running a business, being an entrepreneur, really focusing their decision-making process first and foremost based on asking the question, what's most profitable? What will earn me the most amount of money? How do I do the least to get the most? Whether that's an insurance reimbursement tactic, whether that's should I invest in a particular technology that can provide a particular billable service, et cetera? We have somehow moved, and I guess I'll sort of set it up by saying, there's the business owner whose job it is to make sure that you're generating as much revenue as you possibly can in the time you're in your business. Totally rational, absolutely. But there's also what I'm going to call the dreamer. The dreamer is the person who at one point in time had this crazy idea that I'm going to go to chiropractic school. I'm going to forego whatever potential future I have on the track that I'm on, and I'm going to pivot and I'm going to trade. I'm going to invest the time and energy in the near future going to school, meaning not really making any money, and yet also accumulating hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt simultaneously, only so 4 years later you can start a new business from scratch. At one point, we all thought that was a good idea, and it was probably because you had a vision for wanting to help people in a way that is unique and different, that you don't get at the hospital or at your local doc in the box on the corner, or even from the traditional medical system at large, that you had a vision, you had a dream, you had, whether you had an experience yourself or you just sort of got the big idea and all else is following. You had that moment, you said, I want to be a chiropractor, and you went through that process, although obviously you wouldn't be here. So if you're in practice, at one point you made that investment of your life, but somehow we have seen more and more chiropractors that have basically been slaves to their business. If you ask yourself the question, whether this is true for you or not, maybe it is, maybe it's not. But if you ask yourself the question, what was my dream practice when I dreamt about going to chiropractic school, graduating, and opening up this fill in the blank, your dream, your vision? Maybe it was to work for a mentor. Maybe it was to be involved with sports teams, as we've talked about, or work with a population of people, families, other countries. You had a dream that somehow inspired you to say, this is a good idea to go to school and accumulate debt. And the question is, are you living that dream that was so inspirational to make such a monumental decision? Are you living that dream, or has your dream been hijacked by this conversation of, okay, what's most profitable, right? I tried to tell people about my dream. They weren't buying it. Now I just don't have enough money to really afford any other way than what's going to pay me the most, because now I got a lifestyle, family to really also pay attention to. So priorities change. And so maybe you feel this way, I don't know, but ask yourself, am I making most of my decisions based on what's going to be most profitable for my business? And to what extent has that taken me away from the reason, purpose, vision, and dream I had of becoming a chiropractor? And what we're saying here is, it's now time to take control of your business so that you can practice your dream, not the other way around. And there are ways we're going to teach in the Payday Practice book soon to be coming out, which will be followed up by a webinar to learn more about what we're talking about, which will be followed up by a training for those of you that go, this is making sense to me. I want to learn more. I'm intrigued. This is interesting. What do you mean by take control of my business? What we mean by take control of your business is you have a fixed monthly recurring expense you may refer to as your overhead to keep your business operating, running. Staff, rent, insurance, all the other expenses it takes every month. You can predict the expenses you will have month after month after month after month. You could predict them. They're not going away. By definition, they're recurring. Why not start generating a recurring source of revenue to meet the guaranteed recurring expenses you have each and every month, so that there is an automatic freedom that's generated, because the money that's earned above your expenses is called your profit. So what if you approached your practice from a different viewpoint? What if you said, it's time for me to take back my practice dream and figure out, how do I generate enough recurring revenue to meet my business's monthly recurring expenses? And once I'm able to do that, I have freedom to work with who I want to work with, where I want to work with and where from, with who and with who out. Many of you work for third-party administrators, et cetera, insurance companies. You may not necessarily want to, but like we said, it's worth it, drives patients in, pays just enough. Sure, it's a hassle. And then you just get into the operations of going through the motions, and it's too big of a change to get out of it in some cases. So taking control of your business means generating a source of recurring revenue to meet your monthly recurring expenses every month. And there are 3 ways we will teach you how to do that in the Payday Practice book, webinar, future training coming out. What we're talking about is just starting with asking yourself the question, am I living my dream? Is the reason I decided to become a chiropractor, the dream and vision I had to have, like Michael Gerber refers to it as the E-myth, the entrepreneurial seizure. We have our own version of that, right? Like, hey, I got an idea. I'm going to take 4 years and go to school and accumulate hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. Yeah, it was a good idea. But are you living your dream practice now? Or have you just resigned to going through the motions, to pay the bills, do what you got to do to play the game at the expense of your dream? If that's the case, it's time to take control of your business. We'll show you how to do that. It's about generating monthly recurring revenue to meet your monthly recurring expenses. So everything you do above and beyond your expenses is your profit. You're in control. You're in charge. You get to live your dream. Jeff, you and I have been working for years now, not just on the book, The Payday Practice, but on the training and in the follow-up concierge services necessary to make it simple and easy to build a payday practice so doctors can practice the way they've always dreamed of. What are you most excited about to see next? What does this topic bring up for you?
I think the biggest thing for me is just helping docs and seeing docs be able to minimize, or maybe not minimize, that's the wrong word, diversify their ability to generate revenue without trading time for money. And to me, that's one of the most important things docs can do out there. I love the fact if a practice is 80% fee for service, 20% monthly recurring revenue, passive recurring revenue, that feels right to me, and that is awesome. The challenge that I see is that 99% of chiropractors are 99.999% of fee for service. So it's not about going the complete opposite way. Yeah, there's some docs out there that are super pumped on online business, would love to really explore new territories outside of hands-on care. Cool. But for most docs, and what's needed is chiropractors to be able to take care of people day in and day out. And that happens by creating stable businesses that are able to be less vulnerable during the tides that come up and down. And one of the best ways to do that is to utilize the health tribe that you're building, utilize the equity that you've built with the people that already know, trust, and like you, all your past patients, active patients, and be able to offer ongoing services, especially when those services, products, supplements, whatever it might be, are not directly tied to your time. And if you're able to just swing that pendulum just a touch, you don't need to go crazy. We're not talking about dramatically changing anybody's practice in operations. What we are talking about is moving from 0% recurring revenue to 10, 20% recurring revenue, from 0% of your income being generated without your time to 10, 20% of your revenue being generated without you having to trade your time for it. I think that's what I am most excited about. Hey, if you like that video, be sure to subscribe to the Smart Chiropractor. We are posting videos on how you can market your chiropractic practice in a way that teach and invites consistently. We have found that is the magic formula to big time growth. So if you like this video, be sure to comment down below, smash that subscribe button, or visit us at thesmartchiropractor.com.